My mother-in-law tried to steal my baby so she could take him over to her house and celebrate his first birthday with her and family. Hey y'all, I've been a long time lurker here but never posted about my JustNoMIL, but now I think I'm about to explode, so I just need to vent. Background: my husband and I have been married for over 5 years, and we have a year-old baby boy. I gotta say my relationship with my mother-in-law and her manipulative, controlling behavior made me hesitant about having kids. Really, the idea was terrifying because of how she acts towards her other grandkids. My husband didn't agree, he wanted kids, but I thought I'd save myself the anxiety and stress and just not have kids. Heck, we haven't even been able to figure out our own future with her wanting to get involved in everything. When I found out I was pregnant by accident, I suddenly changed my mind and decided to finally start planning for starting a family. My husband was so excited and happy. Of course mother-in-law knew and decided to get involved like usual. I can't tell you, she made my pregnancy/birth the most painful experience in my entire life. Both me and my husband work 9 to 5. We had a hard time adjusting to our new routine with a baby in the picture. I'd have my sister, my mom, and sometimes mother-in-law babysit for me, but it brought a lot of headache and was only temporary. My sister told me her friend was just starting a home daycare a few weeks ago. I instantly put my son there. My sister, mom were relieved. Mother-in-law was enraged. She threw a fit asking me why I would do such a reckless thing and put her Barbie in some random home surrounded by strangers instead of bonding and spending time with his grandma. Her bitching went on and on and on for days. Then she stopped and started bringing up my son's upcoming birthday party, basically asking what our plans gonna be. We told her due to the pandemic and the current circumstances we decided to have a small party at our house. Invite a few family members, do a little decorating, etc. She got mad and said that she wanted to have her grandbaby's first birthday party at her house and invite many people and take pictures to post on her Facebook page. I was wowed she actually planned for this in detail and was just calling to let us know, since she's already decided. No lady, this is my son's first birthday. I'm his mom. I can't let you just ruin my experience and be expected to say yeah, okay. I put my foot down, since dear husband was having a headache, and told her no, we are sticking to our plan. We will not be having our son's birthday party at your house. She blew my husband's phone up, sending nasty texts when he didn't answer her calls, basically threatening what will happen if she doesn't get her way. Yesterday morning, I asked my husband to drop our son off at daycare on his way to work while I go shopping with mom for party supplies. After about 3 hours I got a call from the lady at the daycare telling me that my mother-in-law was there to pick up my son because she claimed that she was having his birthday party at her house and that us parents were at work and won't get off till 5 p.m. I felt my blood boiling. I immediately told her to not allow my mother-in-law to take my son and leave. I started repeating myself over and over again to make sure she didn't allow her to take my baby with her. I could hear the witch arguing in the background, basically telling the woman that she had my husband's permission. The lady repeated what my mother-in-law said. I told her I'm the mother and that my son cannot be released to this woman. My patience ran out. I called my husband's phone, but he didn't pick up. My mom and I went straight to the daycare to pick up my son. I was feeling so angry and nervous I almost ran into a pole thinking this witch would try to take my son by force. We finally got there. I saw that the lady already called my sister. She handed him to me and said that my mother-in-law left after threatening to get CPS involved for what she saw there and file a lawsuit for telling her to leave without her grandbaby. My god, the nerve of this bitch. I'm still in shock. What the hell was she thinking? More importantly, how did she know the address? Turned out, when she called the night before asking if I was going to work, and I told her no, but my husband was, she must have followed him or something, but that's all I could think of for now. I absolutely have no idea. I asked my husband, and he said she did try to pressure him into giving her the address, but he didn't give it to her. He swore, but I'm not sure I bought into his story. Father-in-law called and started shaming me for not letting her take my son over to her house so they could all celebrate my son's first birthday. I tried to explain, but he lashed out at me saying I ruined this for the whole family. Excuse me, you ruined this for me. I was worried sick for my son. Who knows what would have happened if I hadn't been told about her showing up. She ruined my son's first birthday party for me. Ruined the whole experience. Edit. Autocorrect. You should be careful what you say in the room with the baby monitor. This is a story from when I was growing a spine. It's an older one, but I'll share it here for anyone who is shining up their own spine. A motivational missive maybe? I hope you enjoy. I had a baby. Like you do. It doesn't feel like it was terribly long ago, but my kid is over 10, so things have definitely changed since then. Back in those days, we didn't have fancy video baby monitors or breathing sensors or any of the amazing fancy things you new moms get these days. We had a simple baby monitor. The base was in the baby's room and the receiver was either in our bedroom or the living room, wherever we were. It was a pretty good monitor. You could definitely hear what was going on in the baby's room. And so our story begins. My parents were visiting. I didn't know what a JustNoMIL was at that time. I knew my biological father was abusive, hence the restraining orders. But my mom was so much better than him. I didn't ever think to question what she said until I became a mother. Then all bets were off. I lost my first baby and nobody was going to do anything wrong. When my son was born, his health and safety came first. Anyway, my mom and very just yes Saint of a stepfather were visiting. My mother had some opinions about our parenting decisions. Things had changed since the 70s. Who would have thought, but kept them mostly to herself. Until my aunt called her. We were all in the living room, and so she took her cell into the baby's room to sit in the rocker and chat and trash my parenting. And so we sat in the living room, my husband and I don't remember where my just yes stepfather was, and heard her make fun of me and my choice of everything. And how I was overprotective and this and that. It lasted a good 20 minutes. Then she came back, completely oblivious to the fact that we'd heard the whole thing. A lifetime of rug sweeping training kicked in, and I pretended nothing had happened. More time passed in the visit. She played with the baby. I fed him. My stepfather came back from probably Home Depot. And we were all in the living room when the baby had a blowout. Dear husband and I took the baby to his room to change the baby and get the blowout damage under control. And while we were in there, we were very aware that anything we said would be heard over the baby monitor in the living room. Both of my parents would hear anything we said. I can't remember the specifics of what we said, but I know it was in reference to some suggestions my mother had made that were out of date or wouldn't work for us. We weren't mean or rude, just matter of fact about how it wouldn't work. When the baby was cleaned up, we went back to the living room and were greeted with the biggest cat caught the canary smirk on my mother's face. We sat down and she said, "You should be careful what you say in the room with the baby monitor." And y'all, that new mom spine showed up. Yes, I said. We learned that when you were on the phone with aunt. The smirk froze and then in an instant turned to horror. Horror because her daughter dared talk back to her. Horror because she had been robbed of the gloating that she was so certain she was about to enjoy. But mainly horror because she had been sitting there stewing, and in her mind, she had worked herself up into believing that being overheard on the baby monitor was shameful. And anyone who was overheard saying anything unflattering on the monitor deserved to be embarrassed and ashamed. So with that designated as the proper response in her mind, now that she had been caught out for that very thing, she had to be embarrassed and ashamed. And it was awesome. My just yes stepfather chuckled, and they left shortly after. The end. The immediate aftermath. Recap. I'm in my late 20s and my just no mom, artsy, had near complete control of my life. She was emotionally and verbally abusive, and I was virtually a prisoner in my own home. I'm currently seeing a therapist openly, and I escaped on January 10th, 2020. As I suspected, Artsy has started calling everyone she can think of. These are the responses I've gotten after they've read my letter. I've decided I'm only going to send it to those who contact me first. I think it will look like I'm being too aggressive if I just start sending it en masse to everyone. Also, I don't think I have the mental energy to deal with more than a few at a time. Most of the texts and calls all start the same way. them. Your mom called me crying saying you ran away / moved out. Me, please read this before we talk. I send a letter. Her female cousin and closest friend. I read and understand. If you don't mind Habbo, darling, I will call you tomorrow. The phone call only consisted of "Are you safe? My dad's brother. Sorry a dear niece from my brother to hear all this, and I grant you that I'm not going to push you to go back, and my empathy and sympathy with you after I read your letter about your brutal life experience as you explained. However, we are still your family members and you are an adult who can make decisions for her life. But if you think that there is anything that we can do together, I'm willing to participate. Allah with you at all times. Finally, my advice is, don't disconnect everybody, because there are always good people up there who love you including me, and thank you for your prompt response. Herborther, Abti, niece from my sister. Believe me, I almost cried tears in my eyes when I read your side. Moving out is the only way to save your life. I encourage you to be a strong person. I stand with your shoulders. God bless you, Abti. Her male cousin. No response. General updates on my first couple of days away for artsy. 1. For the first time in almost 2 decades I was able to sleep with a closed and locked bedroom door. 2. My little showbox bedroom is actually not as tiny as I initially thought. Now that most of my stuff is in here, there's still room left. Of course this could be a result of all of the decluttering I've done over the last few weeks. It's amazing how much junk you accumulate when you're not happy. 3. The cats I was a little hesitant about are very well behaved, don't bother me at all. In fact, I think they think I'm remarkably uninteresting, which works just fine for me. 4. I've only broken down in tears twice so far, and I've been panic attack free for the last 24 hours. 5. I had the presence of mind to share her Google location with myself on her phone before I left. This allows me to know if she's anywhere near me. Of course she can't see my location, and her complete cluelessness with technology means she is likely to never notice her location is being shared with someone, let alone figure out how to undo it without asking someone. For now it just gives me a peace of mind. 6. I got a haircut. Shaved it all off. It feels so good. Now I'm going to go get some clothes that match my personal style. The response to my last post has been incredible and overwhelming. I'm not exaggerating when I say I read your comments and messages to help me sleep. You guys literally kept a panic attack at bay. I fell asleep to nothing to your positivity. Thank you all. Am I the a-hole for recreating and improving my mother-in-law / sister-in-law's secret recipe after they excluded me for years? Anyways, the women in my husband's family has this super secret coconut pandan cake recipe that was passed down from his great grandmother to the grandmother / mom / daughters or something like that. We've been married for 12 years and apparently I'm still not good enough to be given this recipe because I'm married in and aren't related by blood, and you only get this recipe if you're a daughter by blood. I've asked like 100,000 times to and still get told no every time. It's something that's really bothered me because I hate being excluded from a nice family tradition when I've been part of this family and sacrificed for this family for years. I also think it's pretty sexist for them to only pass this recipe to daughters and not sons. So over the pandemic I've had a lot of free time and decided to try and recreate this cake. I've had this countless times, so I thought it would be easy if I spent some serious time on it. Anyways, I made like 24 cakes from various Malaysian recipes where his family is from and mixed and matched until I got the exact same flavor profile as the secret recipe cake. Being an experienced pastry chef, I also improved on it with a few new ingredients and garnishes. I typed up everything and made it into a nice, compact recipe and forwarded it to the big family group chat with all relatives including my mother-in-law, her daughters, and all the other women that married in and weren't given this recipe. It was called the family name Coconut Pandan Cake V2.0. The next morning I get tons of angry texts from my mother-in-law calling me a BTCH basically. I told her I came up with the recipe myself, and it's not her recipe, it's better than hers. A couple of the other, unrelated, sills texted me thanks, because they're finally able to see what the recipe is. My husband thinks I went overboard, and shouldn't have gloated about it. My friends, the ones I told this to, thinks what I did was hilarious and divine retribution for years of honors from my husband's family. Am I the a-hole?